Jordan Schultz joins the Cincinnati podcast. Coming up next.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
Welcome to the Cincinnati podcast. I'm Ace, he's Zim. We are here for a special lunch edition live show of the Cincinnati Pod, where we will be bringing on Jordan Schultz. Zim, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm actually I didn't have a full lunch. I'm juicing. I've been talking about that a lot lately, so I'm getting a little healthier. I've seen a couple comments. People said I got good skin. I've been juicing, so I'm here. I'm ready to juice up with some Bengals talk, and we're gonna get into these conversations with one of the best insiders in the whole entire game. So I'm really hyped about that.
No, he is on a GOAT run right now. If you guys are watching, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We truly appreciate that. But without further ado, we're going to bring in the guy that has the juice right now. Shout out to our new guest, Jordan Schultz. How you doing, Schultz Report?
Hey, what's up, fellas? Doing well, thank you.
Yes, sir, man. You're on a GOAT run right now. You had the Tee and Ja'Marr situation. Zim, I'll go ahead and let you kick it off, bro.
Well, I was gonna say, it's not like you're new to this, and I feel like you've been doing this for a while. This off season, it just seems like you broke way more stuff. I don't know if it not even just the Tee and Ja'Marr stuff though. What has changed, or what has like really elevated you think like this off season, particularly? Like, to me, I feel like you've been breaking like left and right every single day I cut on the app.
I appreciate that, bro. Thank you. So I think 4 years ago, well, 3 years ago, before free agency cycles ago, that's when I made the decision to just be an NFL insider. And I didn't really know what I was doing because I didn't have any experience in it. So it was a true trial by fire. And I was able to get a couple stories. And then the next year, which was the 23 cycle, got some more. And then I think the 24 cycle and then this one, I was really able to break through, because really what it is a manifestation of the relationships that you've built throughout the past several years. But it takes time to get those to actually manifest themselves into stories. It's one thing to have the relationship, but you might not have the dividends of actual news for a year or multiple years. And, I always try to think about that in terms of playing the long game with it, realizing that it is going to take time. And so in the case of Ja'Marr and T and that story, that was years of work. And even then, you don't really know if it's going to ultimately lead to the story. And there's no guarantees in this business. It really comes down to having the genuine relationships, and I think also some luck, like anything else. But you got to put yourself in the position to get lucky enough to get the luck, if that makes any sense.
Right. So, lucky, you're in Miami.
I flew to Miami. I knew it was happening, so I flew to Miami the same day.
Okay, so you flew to Miami the same day. Is Ja'Marr pulling up in a Lamb? Is T pulling up? Like, what? Paint the scene of how everything is happening with you guys meeting up at the restaurant.
So I flew out to Miami from New York Sunday afternoon. I think the flight was like a 2:30 flight, landed around 5:30. And then dinner was, I think, supposed to be at 8, but it got delayed. So I got to the restaurant probably around 9, and then dinner didn't really start till about 10:30 or 10:15 maybe. So I'm just at the restaurant by myself, but I'm also worried that maybe this thing could leak.
Right.
I came down to Miami hoping that it would come to fruition and knowing I'm putting myself in the best position to get the story, but I still don't know if it's going to leak before. There's no guarantees.
Right.
So Uno pulled up first, and T was about 20, maybe 25 minutes behind him. We had a private room at Prime 112, which is like the NFL restaurant officially or unofficially in Miami. And we had a private room in the back, so it was pretty secluded from everyone else. Probably 25 people or so were there. It was a big group, very celebratory mindset. But again, because the deal hadn't officially been agreed to yet, there's nothing to report. And you have to wait until it's actually agreed to. But the second it was agreed to, and I got to go, and I was with them, so I was able to, be very like on. And that was the whole point about being there. I wanted to celebrate them, but I also wanted to make sure that we got it right together. So as soon as they basically were like, we're good with it, I was able to put out the news. But it was a high stress environment, to say the least. For me, they were cool. They were great. But for me, I was like, man, this could go so many different ways.
Yeah. I feel like I think them collectively probably knew that they had the Bengals by the balls at that point, but it was just really you being able to stay on top because there's so many different leaks and so many different people that they could probably get into a conversation with. And, that's the part that people kind of don't understand is like, you have your relationship with these guys, but there's also a large party that you're presenting that could get into a conversation with someone, and one of them could just randomly tweet it out or anything like that.
There's so many different ways that the news could get out. There's so many different ways that for me, it could go south, and that's why I wanted to be there, because I felt like if I was there, I would put myself in the best possible scenario. And I really wanted to be there to celebrate them, because I knew like in both their cases, in Ja'Marr's case, the deal, that almost got done before the season, and probably should have gotten done, would have made him the highest paid receiver at the time, potentially. But also, the Bengals weren't playing ball the way they should have. So he was like, no, I'm not going to take this, and I'm going to have the greatest season ever, basically, which is what he did. But that deal got close, and I wasn't sure at the time what was going to happen. That was, you go back to last September, because I thought for a moment then that maybe it could happen. And that was before T made the switch of agents. And so once T made the switch of agents, then they made it really clear that they were going to do their deal simultaneously, Ja'Marr and T, which was really smart, because it gave them and their agent a ton of leverage that was really unprecedented. And they made it really clear too that they were going to do their deal simultaneously, but they were very specific and had a lot of intentionality with the type of deals. And what I mean by that is Ja'Marr gets, obviously well over $41 million per, and his guarantee structures go into year 3. And in T's case, he gets the highest paid number 2 wide receiver ever, as Ja'Marr said, 1A or 1B, I think it was. I think he said 1A. He's 1A. And that their deals were going to be at the exact same time. So, in other words, there was no scenario in which Ja'Marr gets his or T gets his, but that's it. And it could have gotten really bad. It could have gone really badly had the Bengals continued to operate with what up to that point was a really frustrating mentality, because typically Cincinnati, as you well know, is not going to break precedent. They did it for Joe, and then they ended up doing it for both receivers, not just one. So there were a lot of different factors here, but I give a lot of the credit to the agent, but also both players for sticking to their morals with it, that they were going to trust each other, trust their agent, and trust that Joe was going to help as much as he could.
Speaking of Joe from behind the scenes, how much did he play a factor in that kind of process as well?
I thought what Joe did was really smart at Radio Row in the Super Bowl. There was a lot of intentionality for him to go to Radio Row in New Orleans and basically say, like, I need my guys. And that includes Gesicki, who they ended up paying a significant contract too. He had a really good year. It includes both receivers and obviously Trey. And I know you want to get to that, which we can, but they're 3/4 of the way there. But Joe's saying, I need my guys. This is not a one-man show. I need Ja'Marr. I need T. I think that made a big impact. And I also felt like, behind the scenes, he was really clear with that this wasn't just for show. It really mattered to him. And then I think it really mattered to Ja'Marr and T that they had not only one of the top quarterbacks in the league, but also like that's their guy and he had their back. And that meant a lot to them. And their friendship, T and Ja'Marr, but also Joe, that brotherhood. One of the things that really stood out to me throughout the course of the dinner that night in Miami was that both receivers really wanted to stay together and win a Super Bowl for Cincinnati, which obviously hasn't happened. And I didn't know this, but T told me that night that he grew up a big fan of AJ Green and a big fan of the Bengals as a result. I had no idea about that. It really mattered to both guys that they both remained a Bengal and that they remained with Joe in Cincinnati.
Us being and it's so your perspective I really appreciate too, because you talk about the years of kind of forming the the relationships, and you like, so me and Ace from the very beginning of this, just we end up getting pretty cool with families. I've gone out with these guys, I've seen their friendship when they first got here, that like our friends are their friends. So it's like it's very, very interesting to see that. And when I always told people this from the very beginning, even when T was hurt and me and Ace would go out, or they would be able to Ja'Marr, like they always kind of keep their eye on each other no matter what. Even if one is on the other side of the room, the other is like right there kind of making sure that he's straight. And it is beautiful. And the friendships that we built with the families and everything like that. And you talked about the Ja'Marr deal, like last year, we could have been insiders, I guess, so to speak, me and Ace, but a lot of people were really bummed out about how that happened. People were flown in that weekend. I'm sorry, my you good. But they really thought the deal would be done. And I think there's so many different aspects of like all of these different things that people don't, really kind of factor in, because like you said, Bengals weren't playing ball when it came down to the very end, and they changed some numbers and stuff. And I just thought that was a bummer that happened.
Yeah.
I would hate for the same thing to happen to Trey Hendrickson, who you kind of hinted at just a second ago. What's the deal with Trey Hendrickson? What's the temperature, and where are we at right now with that?
It's if I'm Trey, I'm frustrated because I produced at the highest level, first team All-Pro, sack leader, and I'm making 15.8 this year. So he is not only the most underpaid pass rusher, but one of the most underpaid players in the entire league, considering his production and what he brings to that defense. So he deserves to be paid. And I think the Bengals know that. And at the same time, they have not been able to get close enough to a number that he wants. And if you look at the Danielle Hunter deal, that's the framework. They're the same age, same position, and really the same type of impact on their respective defenses. They're both terrific players. And Trey's been, I think if he looks at that deal, that's probably what he needs. Cincinnati hasn't come there. The other part of it is that because Trey is so underpaid now, his whatever money he needs to get, it's gonna have to come up so much that Cincinnati it's hard for the Bengals, who just paid Gesicki, who just paid the receivers, who obviously have paid Joe. It's hard for them to now, as an organization that traditionally doesn't do this type of thing, break precedent, to come up again. If I were talking to the Bengals, what I would say is, you've done a lot of the hard work with three of the guys, specifically the two receivers, and you took care of Joe. The only thing left to do now is to prudently pay one of the premier pass rushers in the business. And what I mean by that is, it's the second or third most important position in football. Quarterback, pass rusher, left tackle. Those are your three. if you can lock up Hendrickson, not only are you taking care of a primary position, but you're also reaffirming to Joe, we're going to take care of you. And I don't know if that means, I don't know how many years it would need to be. I think if he had his druthers, Trey, he would love to get like $100 million deal, or maybe even they could find a middle ground, $85 million deal somewhere in there. But the Bengals haven't, to my knowledge, gotten anywhere close to that. And so you wonder, well, could they do a 1 year deal where they restructure and pay him a significant bonus? What would he be willing to do? Because he's been really clear too that he's not going to play on this number. So there's a lot of frustration, I think, on both sides. They pick, I think it's 17. They could certainly address pass rusher there, but you're not going to be able to replicate what he brings to the table with a rookie.
Do you think it's a situation where he's traded on draft day or traded at some point?
You know, I don't think he's going to be traded. I still don't see that. I've said that before, and I know teams like Washington and Indianapolis have shown interest, but I'm not willing to say that he's going to be traded. I still want to believe that they're going to be able to find common ground, because I think he wants to be there, and I think they want him there. And when you have that framework, that's important. It's not like when he requested a trade, it's not like he's saying, I don't like the organization, I don't want to be a Bengal. Right. He's just saying, I want to be taken care of financially the way that I deserve. And when you're getting paid so unbelievably below market, it's understandable. But I don't think he's going to be traded. I believe he'll play on the Bengals next year.
Don't you feel like there's without getting too technical from a contract perspective, let's say Trey Hendrickson, and he's talked about his family, and he's talked about the 3 to 4 years that I think is what most people believe that I think he wants. I think that the compromise could be them adding on an additional year to the current year that he's on with a large check up front. Do you see, to me, that will be my guess. So, but from what everything that Trey has said, he doesn't seem like he would be open to that in the framework of what I'm saying.
A 1 year, you're saying? Yeah.
A 1 year on top of the year that he's already got. So it's essentially a 2 year.
Because what he wants is the long-term security to be able to tell his family and his spouse, we're going to be here. And the 1 year is not doing that.
With the second year guarantee.
He wants to, I think he would love to finish his career. He's 31 years old.
Right.
Finish his career in his mid-30s, let's say 35, in Cincinnati. Right. But the 1 year is not doing that. And so that's I think that's what that comes down to. I'm looking at this right now, because I want to look at their cap. They've dedicated, the Bengals have their cap table. So basically, a fifth of their cap goes to 2-3 players, and if you're so the Higgins and Chase, I'm not a cap guru, but Higgins and Chase account for a fifth of the team's cap. So it's hard. I think it's what's holding them up is that now if you pay Trey the money he wants or close to it, now 3/5 of your cap are to 3 players. Right. And then obviously there's the factor of Joe. So they have to get past that. And if I'm a Bengals fan, I would really hope they would, because I think Trey truly deserves it.
I completely agree. Zen, was there anything that you wanted to ask about Trey?
I think that was everything that I had with Trey. I know, Jordan, we told you we'll be very conscious of your time. I wanted to just ask you, just to ask you a little bit about the draft really quick.
Yep.
Is there any surprises or anything that you think that people, or anything that you heard, maybe even just today, just from the entirety of the NFL draft, of anyone that you've seen fall, or someone that might surprise people right now that are probably watching this, waiting for the draft?
I think there's a really good chance you're going to have 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. And I've been saying that for a while, but I think Jackson Dart, I'm not ready to stamp him as a definitive first rounder, but I think he's put himself in a really good position. Milroe's the other guy that seems to be a wild card for some fans or teams. He's interviewed really well. you have the 4.4 speed, you have all the athleticism, but I think what gets lost with him, and I think it's important to note, is that there are teams that view him as not just this like wild project, but that there is a lot to work with from a throwing standpoint, because his deep ball, the last 2 years, his deep ball was really good, and he's really good against zone coverage. And a lot more teams are running zone coverage. I don't know if he's ready to start week 1. I don't know if Dart is. I don't know if anyone is in this draft, and that includes Cam Ward. Perhaps he is. But I think that with Milroe, he's probably going to go higher than people realize. I had someone tell me somewhere between 20 and 50. I don't know if that means he's a first rounder, but I think he'll go higher than people realize. I also feel like Emeka Egbuka from close to you guys at Ohio State. I had a Big Ten coach tell me that he was the most underrated maybe offensive player in the draft, and he talked a lot about Emeka being not only a great slot guy, which he did a lot at Ohio State, but the fact that he can play outside, most productive receiver in Ohio State history. I think a month ago he was probably like a top 50 guy, but I think now he's put himself in a really good position to potentially be a first rounder. And I don't know how many receivers go in the first round. It seems like McMillan, Mecca, a couple other guys in that mix, but I feel like there's a really good shot that he has put himself in first round status.
It's interesting you brought up Milroe, because we were talking to Tony Pauline yesterday on the show, and I've talked to someone also yesterday too, and we were talking about how his game is a lot like Anthony Richardson, and he made this point too. He was saying that if Anthony Richardson was the fourth, player taken in the draft, then why wouldn't Milroe be, like a guy that, gets taken in the first round of the NFL draft?
Right. I said this yesterday in a column I wrote for Fox. He has to find the one team that falls in love with him. And in Richardson's case, it was Chris Ballard in Indianapolis. So who's going to fall in love with Milroe? Is it Pittsburgh? Is it the Giants? I reported he's visiting the Giants today. He's got the Rams. He's got Seattle. He's had Cleveland. So who's going to be the one team that falls in love with him and feels like, yes, he's more of a developmental guy, but he has so much to work with that we want to put that in our building.
Schultz, we appreciate how much time you gave.
My pleasure. We can do it again after the draft too if you want. I'm happy to do it.
Let's do it.
I got one last question for you.
I need like a whole hour, bro.
Who do you think the Bengals are considering, or what position?
17.
They take.
So I mentioned pass rush earlier. Obviously the stuff with Trey is looming, but I think that position is really important for them. I would say continue to revamp offensive line. I think back or two, another linebacker. I don't know if that means 17, but I think those are the position groups that are really important for them. Maybe add another DB, but they definitely pass rush is going to be paramount to them. Even with Trey, I still think they need another one.
Right. I agree. Well, we appreciate you. Please let the people know where they can find your stuff.
I appreciate you guys. Schultz_report on Twitter, obviously, Instagram, Jordan Schultz. And I'll be on Fox all next week co-hosting with Cowherd next 8 days. So turn into FS1 and you'll see my mug on there most of the time.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, bro. You're on a GOAT run right now. Keep it going.
I appreciate you guys. Enjoyed it, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, we'll talk very soon. I gotta ask. I can't wait till the next time we get on. I gotta ask him about the show that he has with Draymond, because I just think that's in itself is kind of wild too. And he's got Draymond talking football and stuff too. So I don't know. That was some good stuff, man. I really feel like a lot of people that are in here now, we're making sure we're giving you some good content for your lunch break. If you notice, halfway through the show, we took off the live feed from Twitter and all the other socials, and we're really dedicating this to our YouTube subscribers. So if you do like the run that we're on and getting the guests that we're going to get, and we have so many different guests that we've already got booked too, please make sure that you share. If you see me tweeting it on Twitter or whatever, try to retweet it with me if you can. Just, and also when the video is over, I appreciate all the comments and stuff too. So keep those coming. So yeah, we're doing this essentially for you guys. Like this is the best thing that happened, I think, for the Bengals fans, in my opinion, is to give people the big big insider, detailed, analysts that can give you additional information along with the normal sources that you're used to with the beat and guys that are locally or whatever. So I think this outside perspective on a larger scale is also like very, very needed.
No, for sure. I appreciated the conversation that we had with them. Now we actually have another special guest. We've got a fan mock draft, a lucky fan. Will be joining the Cincinnati podcast to go through his mock draft. Now, Zim, does he already have this pulled up on his side, or do we need to pull up the PFF draft form?
I got it pulled up on mine. I'm already logged in.
Okay.
I know Ken is a guy that he's got PFF premium and all that. This is a diehard guy that when I tell y'all, everybody, the minute that we said that we would have a person on the show to do a mock, he's been lighting my phone up to be like, hey, look, I need to get on here. I need to talk Bengals. So, without further ado, I got my guy Ken coming here on your lunch break. How's it doing, Ken? How you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's an honor and privilege to come on you guys' shows. You guys have got a very entertaining and informative show. This next draft is going to be one of the most important, critical drafts that they have. They cannot whiff on this draft like they've done in the past. So I think they've got to avoid taking risks, drafting injured players that are not ready to go at training camp day one. They've got to draft. So there's a lot of needs. The key is going to be able, on the defensive side of the ball, trying to find the best available player that could play good at the edge, could play as a good pass rusher, okay? Mm-hmm. As not only a good pass rusher, but also is good at run defense. Right. The Bengals, for far too long, since DJ Reader left, and even back to Geno Atkins, we lack the enforcer at the interior of that defensive line. It's one of the reasons last year that the defense was so horrendous. Right. We've got to find this, okay? I know we need an edge, okay? But I'm saying, basically that it's very important for them to kill three birds in one stone. Are there players like this in this year's draft? Yes. It's just, and I, in particular, I'm not going to, I would not draft players solely based on athleticism.
Absolutely.
Right. Because athleticism, to me, it's got to equate to production in college. And it's just reasonable to ask the question.
Right.
If they're so athletic, where's the production in college? It's reasonable.
Ken, let me ask you. I've been reading a couple comments, and we got to get into this mock in a second too. I know you're hyping. I know you're fired up, and you're ready to do this. I'm gonna tell you, there's not gonna be any trades. You're gonna go 7 rounds. You're gonna go deep in the trenches. I'm gonna keep the board loaded up for you because I know you've done your homework. You'll be able to talk about each one of these. I saw one comment that said they like the dream catcher in the background. So if you're watching or you're listening to this on the pod, Ken's got a dream catcher in the background, which my wife will love too. She loves dream catchers. Also, someone else, my guy, Chef asks, where are you from, Ken?
I am originally from North Carolina. I currently live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, with my girlfriend. We stay about only just 10 minutes to the beach.
What part of North Carolina?
Was originally from North Carolina, in the Whiteville, North Carolina area. Okay. I currently live though in Myrtle Beach. I've been living in Myrtle Beach ever since 2006.
Okay.
And let me ask, what made you become a Bengals fan?
Well, it dates back to 1975. My father got me watching them, and he passed away in 2016. He was one of these men that always would like to root for the underdog. And it just so happened on that day, I was 12 years old, and guess who they were playing? The Pittsburgh Steelers. And so when I sat down and he was cheering them on and I saw the colorful uniforms, I guess I was just mesmerized by the awesome uniforms. So from that day forth, I've been a Bengals fan. And interesting enough, I had a brother that was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so there was war in our house.
What jersey is that right there?
This is a regular NFL jersey. I've got my own number. I don't get a player. I gave myself a number 12 with my own name on it because I consider myself like the 12th man.
Yeah,
we're all 12 men.
All right. So look, cause no, I was looking because I was like, well, hold up, who the heck? Who's number 12? So it's Ken. All right,
you thought it was a Muhammad Sanu jersey, huh?
I didn't know. I was just like, man, he got some low key. All right, so I want to drop myself out of there to make the screen even bigger, but I'm gonna keep it like it is. Ken, you're on the clock.
Okay. I can't see it all though. You'll have to scroll up and down. I see Malik Starks. Okay. Right now, everyone's going to be tempted to say, gosh, we need that safety. Malik Starks, get him. I say no. I know you're saying we can't trade back. Okay. So what we want to do here is get that player that can satisfy 3 birds in 1 stone. I like Mike Green, no doubt. But
So do you want me to look at the edge rushers? Because you talked about the edges a lot. So
well, what I wanted to do is slide to the defensive tackles. That is going to be a position, like I said, that for so long now, they haven't had that great interior pass rusher, the disruptor, the guy that can, the teams have to game plan against. A guy that's flying under the radar, and I think the Bengals may be sleeping on, and I would encourage the front office to look into Darius Alexander. Okay. Just bring up some of his PFF metrics. Look at this, okay? He is the key to him is that.
But you're not thinking Darius Alexander at pick 17, though, are you?
Well, no. If they could trade back, I just want to discuss that because if they could trade back like the 28, or it would be a beneficial to them. Darius Alexander, to me, is by far the best all-around defensive tackle in this year's draft because of his versatility. Wow. He's had 25 pressures, and which is clearly evident that he's always in the backfield. He's stronger than an ox. He's got a 90-point run defensive rating. On top of that, an incredible pass rush rating. He can play all up and down the line, even at edge. So, you'd be killing 3 birds with 1 stone. But if you want to stick to the edge players, we can look at that. So we'd have. All
the fans that are going to get a chance to come on here and do our live mocks. We got to make it fair. There are no trade backs. So that's why I asked you that. There's no trades.
Okay.
And I don't know if you can see, Ken. It looks like Mike Green is off the board. He came off the board right at pick 16. So he's no longer.
Jalen Walker and Jahad Campbell also came off right before then.
Yeah. Me and Zim had a long basically
discussion
with about JC. My only concern with JC, he is by far the best linebacker in this year's draft. And like I said, one of the key to Al Gold's defense is they've got to have, he likes to run a 4-3 and he likes to stunt blitz. And the corners are basically have to be able to do man-to-man press coverage. So JC is one of those linebackers that can do it all. He's got good coverage skills, good pass rushing skills. He also, is he can line up at the edge, rush the passer. They're just what's not a lot like him. The only concern with him is the injury. He could slide now because of that injury. If not for the injury, though, he would definitely be my first pick. Okay, because he fits just perfectly into Al Golden's new defense that they're going to employ. But with that being said, and what we got on the board, who do we have on the board at the edge?
Okay, so I got the defensive interiors pulled up. You got Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon at the top of the board. For the edge, I hate my mouse. Jesus.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see them. I don't know if it's zoomed all the way in.
Yeah, nah, I got you.
I'm more inclined to think, I think that what they'll do now, you see, James Pierce is here. Okay. For some reason or other, when I've run this mock draft, I've run it several times again. He seems to slide into the second round. Okay. I like James Pierce because he has the production for 2 years of being a great pass rusher.
Okay.
I like Walter Nolan because, as I said, we've got to have that interior enforcer, which we've lacked. So it's going to be, for me, it'll be either James Pierce or Walter Nolan.
So who are you going with? You got to pick one.
They're saying the Seahawks are trying to run up and take the pick, Ken. You got to turn the pick in.
Okay. James Pierce.
Okay.
James Pierce from Tennessee.
Are you concerned with the character issues at all with the Bengals?
No, I'm not. But, it all depends. I'm not privy to what the Bengals scouting department has, but if there's no serious concerns, no, All right. He's exhibited that he's a heck of a good defensive pass rusher.
Okay. All right. So now the board is looking like this. I'm just going to show you everybody. If you need me to stop, I keep going, but we gotta keep moving. We got
linebackers. I've got a guy here that he's older, but he's one of these ones, similarly so, that can do it all like JC.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Knight, right?
Yeah, Knight.
Hold up. How come I don't have linebackers on the list?
Yeah, that's strange.
It just stops at edge. Hold on. All right, so let me see something. So on this screen, you're going to see you got Benjamin Morris, Winslow, Landon Jackson, Maxwell Hairston, Princely, Cam Scatterboot.
Demetrius Knight.
That's who you want second round? You got Carson on the board too now. I like Carson.
Yeah, Carson, he's younger. Interesting enough, he came in and started just one season and played the linebacker position.
Okay.
He is also one of those versatile linebackers. Great pass rusher. You can line him up at the edge position, and he can rush the passer. He's a good in coverage, good run stopper.
Yes, sir.
For me, though, Demetrius Knight, the thing about him is he has the ability to play the safety position. My only concern with Knight is that his missed tackling rating and stuff, but that's because he plays aggressive. We've got to have an aggressive defense that can get after people. And last year
I like this pick, Ken, because it's saying his production score on Next Gen Stats is ranked 5th for linebackers. His athleticism is 15th. His combined score, he's the 6th overall linebacker. So I think if you get in this kind of value for him here, I think that's good. You ran a 4.58.
So Ken, you want to go with Demetrius Knight on the second pick?
His versatility is what is really the selling point. Again,
guess what his comparison is, Ken? Guess who his comparison is?
Who is?
Jermaine Pratt is his NFL comparison.
I want to say that. I think, Jermaine Pratt would have had a better season if the front four was playing a lot better.
Really?
So it all begins up front. Games are won and lost in the trenches. So Demetrius Knight is, for his versatility and his actual performance and stuff, he would be my second rounder. So we have our linebacker.
All right.
Now,
so you got your edge and your linebacker.
Now, we have a need, and I just got to say this. Far too long, the front office is expecting Joe Burrow to be the magic man and play, picture perfect. That is unsustainable. The interior of this offensive line, it is just absolutely terrible.
Okay.
The Bengals.
So I got the guards pulled up because I had a feeling you might say that. You got Tate Ratledge at the top. You got the center, Jared Wilson. A lot of people like him and think he can play.
I like him too. It comes down to this.
Okay.
We have to find an interior guard or a swing tackle that can transition to guard, who is a great pass blocker and a great run blocker. That's one of the problems that we've got now. The guards now, some of them are good, are just run blockers, but they're not great pass blockers.
So I got your guys pulled up. So right now we currently got Tate Ratledge at the top of this board. We got Jared Wilson, who a lot of people like his versatility as well. Jonah, I cannot pronounce his last name, Savinia from Arizona. You know, he had the top 30 visit with the Bengals. Wyatt Millam was one of your first.
Look at him, guys. What is not to like about this guy?
Who? Wyatt Millam?
2 years playing at the left tackle spot.
Right.
He hasn't allowed a single sack. Zero.
Right.
Zero. And he's a hell of a darn good run blocker, too.
Yeah.
And he's athletic. Okay. So, and his numbers, his actual PFF stats are way better than Tate Ratledge. I like Tate Ratledge by the fact that he's a pure guard. Okay. But I think the Bengals are going to see some value in this when with Wyatt, because the fact that he can also play tackle, okay, the versatility. So for me, if you pull the numbers up, they are truly indeed impressive. So, but his arm length is not as long as it probably needs to be a starting tackle, but certainly I don't think he'll have a problem transitioning to a guard. So for that reason, I would select Wyatt Millam.
Okay. So
he's a better pass blocker.
All right. So we went third round, and Tate Ratledge was on the board. You know, you still got the other guards out there, too, for a lot of people. I'm a big fan of the guards for LSU. They're still on the board. I know
that. I've got a sneaky pick in the sixth round.
There are some people, though, that don't expect Tate Ratledge to be there. Some people can see him going.
Yeah, that's another thing. Okay, so we have our edge. We've got our linebacker.
Yeah.
We got our.
You got your tackle / guard.
Yep. So what now? What we got to do now? I think we've got to try to get a safety, all-purpose safety. Good in coverage. They can do it all. And I wanted to mention the Bengals brought in the safety from South Carolina, Nick. There was a reason for this. Mm-hmm. He is definitely, he's got size, and he's really good at covering tight ends and stuff. Now, one of the weaknesses of our team was they had a time trying to cover the tight ends. So, but he's off the board now.
All right, but Arena Peebles is gone. A lot of the Jonas Sanker from Virginia is gone. As safety, Sebastian Castro, the safety is gone as well. A lot of the safeties, Makuba just went off at pick 98. So you're here. You Makuba is gone off the board. You sacrificed that with Wyatt Millam. A lot of the guys that you're probably targeting are gone.
Well, my pick would have been Makuba. But with that being said, there's a guy that's probably, it'll be later rounds, Upton Stout. That's a good safety. Okay. So with that being said, let's look at the whole board and see what would be best.
Okay. So we're going to look at everybody now. We got Kyle Williams, the wide receiver. Harold Fannin is up there. RJ Mickens, who is the top safety available. Jaden Blue, one of my favorite running backs in there from Texas, is right there. Will Howard, the quarterback, which we don't need. Another running back, Travis Etienne's brother, Trevor, is still there. You've got Gunnar Helm, the tight end, if you're looking to get a tight end. The other safety from Oklahoma, I haven't heard a lot from him, but Billy Bowman Jr., Seth McLaughlin, the center. You got Riley Leonard, a quarterback. Jaquez Hunter, the running back from Auburn.
Okay. Let's go back up and look at that safety from Clemson.
Okay, Mickens.
Yes, he is the best one available right now. And We got to get a safety. They've got to get a safety. Just have
Okay.
to.
You don't feel like this is forced. You're just gonna go. You're gonna go ahead and do it.
I like what Ken is doing, man.
Safety.
Okay. So we're
Ken
gonna go with
is cooking
RJ
right
Mickens
now.
right here.
Ken is cooking right now. I'm checking next gen stats. All of his picks, he's knocking it out the park right now.
All right. So RJ Mickens is the pick, correct, Ken?
Correct.
All right. So that's our 4th round pick. We're going into the 5th round. Now, a lot of people they don't have the knowledge to keep it going. I've been talking to you for a while. I know that you're a deep dive draft analyst yourself. So we're going to keep it going all the way to the 7th, but we do got to put the picks in pretty quick because we're up against the 1 p.m. deadline right here. So we got to put these picks in quick. The top of the board, we got the running back is still there, Trevor Etienne. Seth McLaughlin, the center, is still there. Logan Brown, the tackle. If you have anybody that you want me to just look up, you can let me know that too. You got the cornerback, Robert Longerbeam from Rutgers. Ty Robinson, defensive interior, who is
gosh. That guy, I'll tell you what, and let's keep in mind now, Coach Zach Taylor used to play for Nebraska. Okay. So there is going to be some connections there. Ty Robinson's is a great all-purpose defensive interior guy. Okay, for me, I think he's going to be a value pick, and I think that they could select him here, and but I would select Ty Robinson, and I believe he should be higher on the board though.
And remember, he went on a visit with the Bengals today.
Yeah, and he got. Remember, Coach Zach Taylor's got ties in Nebraska.
Yes, sir. So yeah, that's a good pick. I actually posted about Ty Robinson on.
All right, here's some. I wanted to. There is a player that's on this board in this draft. Okay, and has an amazing story. He's a tackle from Rutgers, Holland Pierce. This guy is a monster. The story behind him was he was overweight at 450 pounds when he was a walk-on originally at Rutgers. Okay, and he had a dream he wanted to continually play football. So he knew he had to get his weight down. Now he's got his weight down to I think like 345, and was able to play for Rutgers. A solid big left tackle, and he's got a high ceiling. Okay, many would say that argue against drafting because he's tall. Okay, I say that shouldn't be a problem. Jonathan Ogden was 6'8", and the Ravens drafted him, and it turned out. I mean, he ended up being in the Hall of Fame. But take a look at him and look at some of his metrics.
You got people in the crowd that say, "I'm sold. Take him, Ken."
I would take him because we need a big man that can move the pocket.
Yeah, go ahead and take him, Zell.
All right,
Holland Pierce.
So we got Holland Pierce. Was that our last pick? Because we only got 6 picks.
You have no more picks. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, you closed out strong with that one.
I really like what Ken did with this draft. I don't think it was kind of the prototypical ones that you see on Twitter. Like I said, I was referencing a lot of the stuff that he was looking at, even the safety that he got. It said that safety had starter potential, ran a 4.4. Everyone that he drafted was someone that could potentially be viewed as a starter.
And pay no mind to the grading of Holland Pierce. I right there, I mean, he's definitely going to go higher than where he's at. I mean, it's just, with him having to lose all that weight, the work ethic is there. It shows that he is committed to continually giving it his all to be a good NFL offensive lineman. And it's just so impressive. Losing weight is one of the hardest things a person can do. I got it to 229. I have to tell you, it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life. I'm down to 193, but it takes extreme discipline, commitment, and I call it the Wile E. Coyote attitude, to stay with it attitude. And so those same characteristics Holland Pierce obviously has, not to mention his monstrous size. The guy's got long arms.
Monstrous size.
I mean,
Ken, you're so right. You're a cool guy. I love where you're going with. I love your passion. Ken, we're closing out on this. We gotta get to the end of it. I screenshotted it and I got a video of your mock. I'm gonna post that on our Cincinnati page on Twitter. I do want to make sure that we read this super chat. This is from Buddha Bavera Bain. he wrote in 2 words: trench warfare. Pound hooday. So I'm all about that. I appreciate that. Ken, where can anybody follow you at on Twitter if they want to see more? Because you do post draft stuff on there, right?
Yeah, I can't always remember my exact Twitter account and where I'm at, but I'm on there. If you just look me up, you'll see.
I'll tell you, it's at DIPPEL_Ken. Now, there's a couple times I hit you, Ken, on Twitter. You'll DM me, but you don't hit me back on Twitter. So you might get some people that might comment on some of your stuff. So make sure you check the timeline now. It's at DIPPEL_Ken. So he did our mock draft series, our fan mock draft series 1.0. Do you have any closing remarks that you want to tell the people for the upcoming season? Positive, negative, whatever. How do you feel? You got to wrap it up pretty quick, and I'm going to let you lead us and tell people that one message that you got for them.
Okay. I have a subscription for PFF, and just the other day they sent me a 2025 player draft guide, and I'm willing to share that and send it to anybody by email who would like that. It's a very valuable drafting tool, evaluating approximately over 500 players, and it really helps to prioritize who should be a pick and stuff. One of the things that PFF doesn't do, and nobody has ever done, is when they're drafting a player, is to take the individual performance numbers, the PFF ratings at a particular position, and compare them and see who is the better overall player. So, that's something that I believe that should be done in drafting a player, because by doing that, they're not going to reach. They can come out of this draft and certainly come out of this draft with a versatile player, and not only drafting the BAP, but a player that is needed in a position. We don't have that luxury this year to draft BAP or to get a running back or wide receiver. So, if we did and had more picks, I'd say, sure, but we don't have that. We have critical needs in the trenches that have got to be satisfied.
All right, Ken, that was good having you on here. I appreciate you. I'll let everybody know where they can find you at. It's at DIPPEL_Ken. Ken, been really good. That was our mock draft series 1.0. We need to make sure that we go in and pay a couple of our sponsors. Do you already have that? Do you have that pulled up, Ace? Because I still had the PFF pulled up.
Now they call Tee Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them high honey lemon peppers. Now they call Tee Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. They was them high honey lemon peppers. Now they call Tee Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. And much love to Mama T, Uno and CTB. MB's got Bengals wings, and now we just added T's. 9 to 5 winning things. Gritty for Uno wings. We say yes, Sirski now. Like Aces and be saying that T got them new wings. Only at MB's. Honey lemon peppers. Now you can call them T's. Honey lemon peppers. Now they call Tee Higgins. Or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them honey lemon peppers. Now they call Tee Higgins. Or you say number 5.
That was nice. I ain't gonna lie. Shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue, 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. We appreciate them for sponsoring the show. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and wrap up this Cincinnati episode. Shout out to Ken for stopping by. Shout out to Jordan Schultz. Make sure that you guys like this, share this, and make sure you hit that comment box and turn on those notifications. So whenever we go live out of our normal schedule, like we are with this one, you guys don't miss it. Also, make sure to check out the Bengals post as well. They do a great job of that. We have plenty of guests for you guys coming in the future. Please comment down below after this video, not during the live chat, after this video, who you would like to see possibly on the Cincinnati podcast. We love to see those comments down there. Appreciate you guys so much, and we will see you next week.